This is Mota, Managing Partner for ACG Research, and welcome to this quarterly update. What I'd like to do is just give you some key findings and some trends that we see in the service provider routing and switching space. When we look at the market, we saw a 14.2% decline, sequential decline in the market, and a lot of that was driven more through some of the seasonality that we saw in the market, and specifically when we saw such a large growth in Q4 perspective, and we saw a lot of CapEx flush, so it wasn't a surprise. It's something that we expected. Now, when we look at the overall market, the market is about a $2.7 billion market, and if we break that down into some of the subcategories, we saw that the core router market actually declined 11.2% sequentially, but yet increased 9.5% year over year. And when we look at the edge market, we saw the edge market decrease 15.1% quarter over quarter, but yet increased 8.9% year over year. So there's mixed emotions regarding the seasonality, but yet if you look at the year over year growth, there's some optimistic, or as we tend to say, cautiously optimistic about the outlook. Now, when we look at some of the key trends that are going on in the market, I think the first thing that stands to mind is this whole thing associated with IP address exhaust. We saw that the IANA exhausted is addressed and the IP NIC exhausted is addressed, literally in one in February and one in April. And we have ARIN and RIPE also having a time frame where it's almost less than a year. And a lot of these service providers need to pay attention to this because they need to start investing in transition plans to IPv6. Otherwise, they're going to compromise some of their business continuity and end up spending much more money down the road. So that's one of the key findings. Another key finding is that there's always been this debate about make versus buy in the service provider, where a lot of the carriers were using certain CDN vendors like Limelight, Alchemine, Big Gravity, EdgeCast, and it seems that lately a lot of these providers are leaning towards more as the make opportunity. And what that means for some of the vendors is more than just selling some of their caching device for regionalized type video broadcasting, but is also associated because if they lean more towards this make scenario, that opens up a lot of opportunities for selling more access aggregation and more Ethernet type services, edge router devices. So there's a big opportunity for CDN vendors, and I think some of the business models are being validated by some of these carriers. Another key trend that we see associated going on in the market is what we call application assurance or application assurance enhancement. And what that is that a lot of carriers are learning that they need to sell more than just routing solution. They need to sell what we call end-to-end solutions. And they're getting further into some of these networks by looking at literally monitoring enterprise applications end-to-end. So whether it's a SAP application, an Oracle application, there's a big business opportunity regarding being able to deliver some SLAs associated with application delivery. Another key trend that we see going on in the market is what we call security. Now, when we say security, we have to look to see what's going on in the enterprise. There's primarily two top-of-mind issues. The first one is what we call virtualize or virtualization. Now, virtualization of everything. First, virtualization on the server, virtualization on the network, and now you're seeing virtualization on desktop. And what's happening with a lot of that, as that virtualization enters further into the data center perspective, you have this whole cloud initiative going on in the particular market. And what's tending to happen is that a lot of enterprises don't feel comfortable literally just going to a public network or a public cloud network. So they're out there looking at private type networks associated with this deployment, but a lot of them should look further because there's hybrid opportunities to look to see how does your data look and prioritize and offer these hybrid cloud solutions. And a lot of the carriers need to be able to implement the securities associated to make sure that these customers feel comfortable from a security perspective. So security is top of mind issue. Another key trend that we see in the market is what we call Ethernet demarcation. So from an Ethernet demarcation perspective is that some of the customers need to look at carrier Ethernet and Ethernet demarcation brings that carrier grade closer to that CPE device. And that allows them to offer better O&M capability from a management perspective, but also offer QoS capability so that they can offer true SLA capabilities with Ethernet. So you're seeing a lot of opportunities for carrier Ethernet exchange in the market, and that turns for opportunities of access aggregation and more intelligent router. This is Ray Mota with another quarterly update. Thank you very much.